Mike Leach is set to be honored pregame as the Red Raiders will face off against the Cougars up in Pullman, Washington. In today's video, we will discuss everything you need to know for Texas Tech at Washington State, including will Taj Brooks suit up for the Red Raiders up in Pullman, and multiple other injuries the Red Raiders are fighting through, not to mention the players to watch for Texas Tech, Washington State, and the odds may surprise you. And as they say, Vegas must know something. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button for 100% free Texas Tech videos all year long. This is the most interactive Texas Tech YouTube channel there is. And speaking of interactive, let me know your score prediction down on the pinned comment below for Texas Tech at Washington State. Both offenses for both schools looked really good in week one. One defense looked, I don't even want to say a little better, significantly better, and we know who that is. But let me know your score prediction down on the pinned comment below. I'll say this, my prediction may surprise you later on in the video. All right, let's set the scene for this one as we will head to Gesa Field up in Pullman, Washington on the beautiful campus of Washington State University. Kickoff is scheduled for 9 p.m. Central Time. Get yourself a coffee, get yourself a Celsius, a Red Bull, whatever your drink of choice is when it comes to caffeination, get one, maybe two. It's going to be a long night if you're a Texas Tech fan in the Central Time Zone. This game can be watched on Fox as well. Now, when you look at the injury side of things for the Red Raiders, there's a lot. And Joey McGuire talked about it on his press conference on Labor Day, and there's a lot you need to know. Let's start with the guys that are out for the year for Texas Tech. Both are due to knee injuries. You know one already if you're a Texas Tech fan, in Dylan Spencer. He will be out for the year with the knee injury. Unfortunately, Joey McGuire added one more name to that list at this press conference, and that is Joseph Adedire. They did not say exactly what the knee injury was, but he is out for the year. So you could make the argument Texas Tech's two best pass rushers coming into the season, at least thought coming into the season, two best pass rushers, are now out for the year. Brutal type stuff for the Red Raiders. As for out for Wazzu, that matchup for the Red Raiders, another pass rusher, Charles Esters. He's got a thigh injury. He will be out for another 2 to 3 weeks, as will Javion Wilcox be out for this Washington State game. There's a sizable list of questionable guys that are impact players for the Red Raiders in this Wazzu matchup. You've got Harvey Dyson with a foot injury, another edge rusher. Braylon Lux, a guy that you desperately needed against Abilene Christian. He's still battling through a thigh injury. You've got CJ Baskerville, your starting safety, with a shoulder injury. Quincy Ledet has a knee injury. And then you've got John Curry with a shoulder. But the most notable name on this questionable list for the Red Raiders is that of star running back Taj Brooks. Joey McGuire expressed, a little bit of concern when you use the tag GTD, game time decision, for any player on your roster, let alone arguably your best offensive playmaker. That's concerning, and that is the tag that Joey McGuire used when it came to Taj Brooks's availability or potential availability against the Cougars up in Pullman. It will be a true game time decision, according to the Red Raiders head coach. Now, who would step in? It would be Cameron Valdez, Cam Dickey, and he also mentioned another true freshman alongside of Cam Dickey there in Jacoby Williams, who could get a couple of snaps. But if you're a Texas Tech fan, that is something to monitor this week, and you are hoping, praying, whatever you need to do to get Taj Brooks to play in this game, do it. That's what needs to happen. All right, players to watch for Texas Tech. I'm going to start with Behren Morton because there's been a lot of talk I've seen on Twitter about how Texas Tech actually didn't play that well offensively. I don't know what game you're watching, but I think that's unequivocally false. Listen, just because the defense was so bad doesn't mean you need to go nitpick the offense. Behren Morton was phenomenal against Abilene Christian. The offense held up their end of the bargain. Were they perfect? By no means. The false starts pissed me off too, people. But when you look at Behren Morton, he only really had 2 or 3 bad throws or bad reads, right? You think about that throw to Jalen Conyers on 4th and 13 to the right pylon on the far side of the field. That's the best throw Behren Morton has had as a Texas Tech starting quarterback. It was phenomenal, and I expect him to be just as good in Pullman against Washington State on Saturday night. Now, Speaking of Washington State, there is a very familiar person with that institution on the Texas Tech roster. Notice I said roster, not coaching staff, because technically the shoe could fit both ways. But Josh Kelly, he was the leading wide receiver last year for Washington State when they had Cam Ward. Cam Ward is now down at Miami. Josh Kelly, thankfully, is a Red Raider. And you showed, well, or got to see, I should say, his potential as a true number one wide receiver in week number 1. I know it's against Abilene Christian, but damn it, 10 for 156 and 1 is good regardless of if you're playing actual people or going up against air. And Josh Kelly dominated. He had 15 targets, and it probably could have been 20 plus if we're being honest about it, rewatching the film. He will have a chip on his shoulder going back to Washington State, proving that, hey, I am that guy, right? And I think he's going to be hyper-targeted. That said, though, there's not a better team in America in terms of knowing Josh Kelly like the Washington State Cougars outside of Texas Tech. Now, Amir Washington is the guy I want to talk on the defensive side, because rewatching the game was a bright spot, I thought, for Texas Tech. And hear me out before you start yelling or swiping off and everything in terms of not listening to the video anymore. If you look at how quickly Abilene Christian was getting the ball out, Amir Washington and a lot of Texas Tech pass rushers just did not have a chance to actually get to Maverick MacGyver. That said, Amir Washington consistently was beating his man on the ACU offensive line. It's just that the ball was out by the time he got there, in terms of typically you need about 3 seconds. Well, they were getting it out in about 2.4 on average, where the Wildcats down in the 806. I think he is a guy that could have a sizable impact in this game and really step up in that edge pass rusher group for the Red Raiders that, as I mentioned, is missing 2 critical guys for the entire year, and multiple guys are injured now for Texas Tech. He is going to have to play a pivotal role in terms of getting to the quarterback. And listen, it's going to be difficult against Washington State because, much like Abilene Christian, the Cougars like to get the ball out quick. Again, one more reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football all year long, and Texas Tech men's basketball as well. We're doing watch parties, live streams. We're answering your questions as soon as they happen. We're also going in and giving you game previews, 3 keys to the game. And Lyle Leong Jr. with real on-the-field experience is helping you know exactly what's going on. So if you want to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube and the most interactive, the best part about it I haven't even mentioned yet, it's 100% free. And all you need to do is like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. All right. Let's move to the Washington State side in terms of what you need to know. We will start at the quarterback position. It is John Mater, and he's a Little Elm, Texas native. So you got a Texan all the way up there playing the quarterback position for the Cougars of Washington State. It's actually his first year as the true starter for the Cougars, and he had a sensational game against Portland State in week 1, throwing for 352 yards and 5 touchdowns. He gets the ball out quick, as I mentioned, and on average, he got the ball out in 2.2 seconds against Portland State. Remember the number I said that Abilene Christian was getting the ball out against Texas Tech? That was 2.4. The Cougars did it quicker in week number 1 against Portland State, and we're going to talk about his 2 wide receivers that you have to know who they are. Starting with Kyle Williams, a senior wide receiver, actually led the Cougars in receiving in week number 1 with 4 receptions, 141 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. He's coming off a season where he was second in terms of receiving yards for the Cougars in 2023, only behind a now Red Raider in Josh Kelly. But he is a guy that Tim DeRuyter in this secondary are going to have to know where he is at all times. He is a big play waiting to happen, averaged 35 yards a reception in week number 1. That's got to change in week 2 if Texas Tech wants to have a chance to win the football game. And another guy the Red Raiders are going to have to know where he's at all time is Chris Hudson. Much like Williams in week 1, he too hit the triple-digit mark in terms of receiving yards, going for 101 against Portland State. He had 1 TD on 4 catches. Him opposite of Williams will no doubt be a priority, and you're going to need to see Braylon Lux out there, hopefully, fingers crossed if you're a Red Raider fan, or the Texas Tech secondary is going to have to be 100 times, 1,000 times better at communication, because you can go back and watch the film and see there was none of that. That was the main issue for Texas Tech. They were out of position and didn't communicate. That's a deadly combination in terms of trying to stop an efficient passing game. All right, the must-watch matchup, it's just that. The wide receivers for Washington State and the Texas Tech secondary. Simple and plain, if Texas Tech plays the way they did against Abilene Christian, Washington State's going to have another 70 piece on their hands. It's that simple, okay? You are going to have to go out there and make an impact on the quarterback, find creative ways to get to him quickly, but also shut down those quick routes and actually communicate if you were the Texas Tech secondary. I can't tell you how many times rewatching the film and noticing it live even, how many times multiple guys in the secondary for Texas Tech against Abilene Christian had no idea what the hell they were doing. They had no idea where they were supposed to be. They looked lost. They got caught napping, looking at the eyes of the quarterback and losing their assignment in the secondary. Multiple times this happened, and ACU, credit to them, capitalized. You don't think Washington State's going to do that? They 100% will. That is the matchup to watch, is the Texas Tech secondary against the Cougars wide receiver group. As for the odds in this one, I think a lot of people probably thought after Texas Tech, almost lost to Abilene Christian in overtime, that Washington State would be favored by 5.5, 6 points. That's not the case. There's actually sports books out there that have Washington State as the underdog at home. Yes, Texas Tech is favored at some sports book, but here we consistently go with FanDuel, and over on FanDuel, Washington State is favored by 1.5. That's basically a pick 'em, people, at this point. The total over-under is set at 65.5, and I told you my prediction would probably surprise some people, but I do think Texas Tech is the better team. I really do. Do I think the defense is going to be that bad that they showed against ACU? I don't. I think they will get better. I think they will get those nerves out playing in front of 60,000 people for the first time for 6 of those starters. I think they will settle in and they will be ready to go and come together as one unit on the road and get a pivotal road win. Will Joey McGuire and crew. I have the Red Raiders winning up in Pullman 41-36. All right, that's going to do it for Week 2's preview for your Texas Tech Red Raiders. One more time, let me know your score prediction down on the pinned comment below. And if you want to join the most interactive, largest, and, free Texas Tech YouTube channel, just do these 3 simple steps. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell.